Hey, Mystic Michaela spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today, we are talking about how not all empaths have empathy. I'm going to subtitle this. Just because you have a blue aura doesn't mean you're some great person. And I think that's going to make a lot of sense to people as we dive into this today. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. All right. Before we start, I haven't asked this in a while.
Yeah.
And we just got back from Disney, which we're going to talk about at the end of the...
Overtime.
Yeah, overtime. We'll just leave Disney for overtime.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the worst time, by the way. So I feel maybe... Did I get some pink in my aura? You know, you've always said you've only seen red and blue on me.
Yeah.
But I want to know. I haven't had a check in a while. How's my aura looking?
All right. I feel like with you, the blue is a little dark and the red's a little dark too.
Okay.
So you feel a little intense lately. Like
the lighting in here is a little bad.
Yeah.
Is that why?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No, I mean, I know you, so it's always easier for me to read a stranger.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like with you, if I'm really looking at you, the colors seem a little denser.
Okay.
Than maybe what is comfortable to live with.
And what does that mean that they're denser to people like me that do not understand?
Okay,
that?
like a denser, like heavy, darker.
Okay.
That can just mean the extremes hit you more.
Okay.
That can mean that the swings can be a little bit more apparent to people around you.
Okay.
From one to the other. And that means that you can have knee-jerk reactions to things instead of, chill out and wait and count to 10 or stuff like that.
All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense because we did have 3 days in a row of crowds and doing things. We went to an art festival, then we went to Disney Springs, Disney. So that I think that all might have played into that. Maybe if I kind of just... Because
it's not just about what you did, it's how you interact with the people you're doing it with.
Right.
And like what you feel like your roles are. And how, especially when you're blue, indigo, turquoise, or purple, it's how the other people around you are reacting can affect you. Like it's very easy. We all say it like when somebody in the room's killing the vibe, what does that mean? It means that your energy is picking up their energy and it's affecting you. It's bringing you down. And a big part of energetic health and self-awareness is noticing that and then not owning it.
Okay.
Even though you could recognize it and validate it and it's totally happening, it's also a way to lessen its control, I would suppose. I mean, I'm working on this too.
Yeah, no, and there was an incident that happened over the weekend, and I think I understand that now because you were trying to explain it to me from this point of view.
Yeah.
I think that's one way this episode came about, and I think we have to bring it back to where we were in the situation.
Yeah, so this is a nuance. And I think a lot of people are going to understand it. Just because you're blue or indigo or purple or turquoise doesn't mean you're always lovey-dovey all the time. Sometimes things can bug you and sometimes other people's feelings can bug you. So anyway, let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
This will make more sense in this story.
Okay.
There was a street art festival that our oldest daughter wanted to go to so she could meet up with some friends. So we're like, fine, we'll take you. And then that means that Scott, myself, and our now 10-year-old were hanging out at the street festival. So this is, in Lake Worth, Florida.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. Basically, they use like chalk.
Yeah.
I think mostly chalk to make drawings on like squares in the street.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a contest. I don't know. We were there for the first day.
That was one of the things we were like,
sure.
Is this a contest?
Yeah.
Lots of questions. Do they pay to be here? Do they get paid to be here? Is there a contest? Like, because you're red aura, so you're like, what is the point of sitting in the chalk in the sun if you don't get a prize?
Well, exactly.
But I think it's for the art and community.
Well, it was more like, some of them were really looked, how do I say this, really good.
Yeah.
And a lot of time and energy.
Oh, yeah.
Like professional.
Yeah.
And then there were some that looked like, if I was sitting there, that's what would have happened. And I'm not an artist, by the way. I have no purple. And I know I'm bad. And that's what I didn't understand.
So you're saying some of them didn't look good.
Right. And I'm saying maybe next year I sign up for this festival.
So and
I draw something and see, people walk around and see it.
You have to be invited. And I think,
you do? Oh, that's what I was wondering. Can I just pay to be in there or whatever?
I don't know.
All right.
Actually.
Anyway.
Always lots of questions. And if you ever get to be part of this festival, somebody like Scott will walk around with his kettle corn.
Right.
I could do that. I could do that too.
But I can't. But then if I can't do it, I'll be like, I can't do that.
Right.
And that's art.
And then
that's the definition of art for me.
Yes, that is how people define art by what Scott thinks.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Anyways, back to the story.
Okay.
That was overtime, I think, what we just did there.
A little bit.
Sorry, guys. Back to the story. Anyway, so Brianna, our oldest, goes off with her little friends, and then we're there with Abby. And Abby's 10. Now, here's the backstory. Like, my kids get weird in crowds. And I do too. It's just I've been programmed to ignore it, like a lot of us have. And I just like, whatever, I power through and whatnot. But sometimes at these festivals, there's a lot of weird vibes. There's a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big men, that are loud. And, if you're 10 years old and you're a turquoise and you're just like, this is a lot, and so Abby was getting kind of, she starts, she's funny. She just is, you can tell she's not happy here. And we're kind of dragging her around, looking at art, and she's just not into it.
Right.
And nothing's making her happy. And then Scott, you're like, well, what do I do?
Right. And I'm offering a lot of solutions, and that's what I do. Mm-hmm. Do you want to eat this? Do you want what is it, like fried funnel cake, whatever?
Yeah.
Do you want another treat? Do you want to go to this restaurant? So I come up with all these ideas.
Super nice, right?
And I'm, you want to go here? You want to buy something? I don't know,
right?
And nothing is penetrating the turquoise stare.
And she's just staring. Yeah, she's just like, I don't like it. And it's obvious she doesn't like it there. And I'm indigo, so I'm feeling your need to make this better, which isn't working, and her discomfort, but we're stuck here because we got to wait for our other kid anyway, so we can't go home.
Yeah. And I do want to say at this point, I'm actually in a good mood. Like, I'm actually having fun, mocking some people's art and
That's
then
terrible.
admiring the other art.
I mean,
so I'm actually in a good mood during
kudos
this.
for admitting that, but like also,
like I said, some of those I could have done. And that's good that they went and did it, because that's creativity. I'm all for creativity.
Nobody needs you to be all condescending.
Yeah, I'm not going to say which ones were bad. But anyway, so I just want to say that going into it, I was in a real good mood.
You were, but I'm sensing it getting worse and worse, because you are picking up that your kid's unhappy, and then I see it happen. I see all of a sudden and it's very subconscious, you're starting to get angry. Like, why aren't you happy yet? I've done this, and this.
Right.
And I'm in a good mood. So why are you still feeling unhappy? And then you got mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that was it. And I basically said, all right, fine. This is the last thing I can think of. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, because I'm taking you guys home. And you have to go, to get there was a pain in the neck, because you had to
take a
park at the college and then take a shuttle to the street.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fine. I tell the whole process. I'm going to go back to the shuttle. We're going to get on the shuttle. We're going to get to the car. Right. We're going to drive home.
Right.
Then I got to, because Bree's with her friend. Yeah. I'm going to come back there.
Right.
And then I'm going to park, go into the shuttle, get Bree, and, keep going.
You had a bit of a red meltdown and a victim blue moment.
Right. So
you're like, I'll just go there and I'll come back, and it doesn't matter. I'll be driving 2 hours. This is what you want. And then Abby finally gets out of her little turquoise stare, where she's just kind of staring in a trance and looking very unhappy. And she's like, Dad, because sometimes she gets real mature. She's like, Dad, this is really unnecessary. You don't have to do that. I'm fine, Dad. Okay. All right. Is that what you want to hear? I'm fine. And I'm sitting there like, oh God, we're giving our kids some sort of codependent issue where if Dad's not, she's just going to transfer this to another relationship in the future. And you're not seeing anything clearly yet. So I can tell you're basically stressed that you don't believe her.
Right.
And so we're sitting there, and this is all next to someone's art.
that was actually good art, though. That was a good art. So it was pleasant. All right. So now a few years ago, I would not have been able to hear the explanation for this. I would have just thought I was correct. Now I understand I was probably a little bit off here, and it was maybe not the correct reaction. So, and then you explained it to me a few days later, and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what happened. Can you explain that to the audience?
So what happened was...
What happened to me?
Yeah, when you're blue, I think it happens a lot to blues. When you're blue, you feel other people's feelings with your own, and you sense that you are the only solution.
Right.
And that connection I made right there is something that's very subconscious, probably something that's it's a buried agreement that is controlling you all the time, but you might not be aware of. So when you feel someone's need, immediately it's like, well, I have to fix it. And then you also, as a blue, can associate your self-worth with that. You're like, well, I'm not a good person if I don't fix something. And then you don't want to, and then you feel that for a second. And then when you feel that, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to feel that. So it's much easier now to all subconscious go to, well, you're a little ungrateful person, aren't you? Like, I'm mad at you. Fix your attitude. Instead of basically saying, like, if you feel whatever you want to feel, that has zero to do with me. Instead of separating it, it's like, I'm going to get angry at you. And being angry allows you control, and it allows you to take that feeling that's not solved, or that wound of, if I don't fix something, I'm not good. Instead of fixing that, it gives you an excuse for, no, I'm good. This is a them problem, like that. And then being mad at them.
So it's almost like the blue was like, usually I would have said, oh, it's the red that just got angry.
That was the blue.
But really it's the blue.
Yeah. I think like your red is the intensity of it.
Right.
You know, because you're red. So you're like, you know, like somebody else might cry. You know, like maybe a blue purple might start crying. Like, you're mean to me. Maybe, you know, maybe.
I get all huffy.
Yeah. So like different aura colors are going to handle it differently. But the underlying thing, if you're blue, is if I can't fix it, then I'm going to get judgy to you. I'm going to have judgment towards you on your feelings. And the person that's feeling whatever they're feeling is just sitting there feeling something, you know? And it really is just, that's their prerogative.
Yeah. I mean, and that makes complete sense. And I agree with that 100%. I mean, I appreciate you telling me that. I do. That makes so much sense.
But I've had to work on this with myself too.
Yeah.
And I've talked about that. Like I told this story forever ago. You know, I'm an indigo, and I remember when the kids would cry when they were really young, like 2 years old, crying in the car, and you're driving. I'd feel you get mad, and I'd get mad at you for being mad. I'd be like, Scott, I can handle her crying, because crying never bothered me, as long as like it was just, you know, something silly, like I lost my Vinky, like, okay, you're fine, you know, like that. Like I knew they were okay, but it would really upset you. So I get mad at you getting mad.
But I guess I do that with all three of you, because I'm always
you do.
I'm always just trying to solve the problem, and then I guess when all my options are expired, that's probably when the blue snaps, not the red, the blue. The blue snaps, and I just can't handle feeling like, you know, I wanted to have a lovely day with you guys. And everything's going great. You know, everything's going real smooth.
Right.
Yeah.
But we turned it around.
And then, you know, also I was like, it was a lot of pressure because I knew the next day we had Disney Springs and then Disney. So I'm like, if you're bad in this crowd,
right,
what's going to happen the next 2 days?
Remarkably, though.
Remarkably, it was amazing. But then I feel like then finally, you know, Abby calmed down, and I found this like a diner, like a quiet diner on the corner of the festival. I forgot what the name of it was, and we went in there, and everything changed, and everyone was happy again. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, order whatever you want, you know, right. You know, get more, get dessert. Right. I want another coffee, whatever. And then it's like, I'm back to then my blue's back. Yeah. To like where it feels comfortable. Yeah. Like as everything's been solved. Is that what happened? Because then it just turned right around.
Well, yeah, but
and it was a great rest of the day.
I think like when you have a relationship with somebody who has a blue aura, you love that they're invested in your vibe. You love that. That means that they care. But also it can be tough because you don't want to have a feeling that sets them off. Because the second you have a feeling that makes them feel out of control or not good, or like now all your feelings, which are your own, you're monitoring because somebody else can't handle it. And that can really hold you back and really affect you. I see that a lot when I read kids who are grown. Like I'll read like, you know, you guys, and I'm talking to the audience, like I'll read them, and like their parents can't handle hearing things. So these are the people that are always like, I don't tell mom anything because she just makes it about her, and you know, like whatever. Yeah. So it's something that doesn't mean you're a horrible person. It's just a programming. And I'm going to talk about that. And I'm also going to talk about people who are just have no empathy at all, but they're empaths.
I must be more blue than I thought. Because even the other day, like, you know, just one more quick story. I think this may make sense. Now it makes kind of sense. Like, you know, when you go to a restaurant and everyone gets their meal and they forget one meal? Yes. Well, they happen to forget Abby's meal. Yes. And, you know, it was like birthday weekend. And I couldn't really, like, I just, like, kind of felt that the whole meal, that, is that my blue again? Or is it the red?
That's so funny. Is that the first time it's ever happened to you?
This is like the one, it's happened before.
Anytime that happens when I sit at a restaurant, I feel terrible.
I don't know. Like, this really
You're so funny.
Because it was like, Abby, she's little. Right. Usually they don't forget the kids' food.
Like if they forgot your dad's food.
Yeah, then I don't care. If they forgot my food, I'm like, then I'm red. Then I'm probably red. But I felt like maybe that's the blue again, where I'm just like, I was really kind of just like upset for her.
They did forget her food, yeah.
Yeah. Is that the blue again coming out?
Yeah, well, also, yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's funny, though, because a lot of us are like, well, yeah, we all.
I don't know.
That's like.
Like I said, I think I'm becoming more blue every day. But all right.
Blue
I got to hang on just a little bit.
Well, thanks for letting us share the story.
No, and I appreciate that. I mean, I think it's knowing that hopefully in the future I'll be able to use it to grow. But I think that'll definitely help me, because this will happen again. You know, the kids.
I'll be like, Scott.
There's one thing I'm certain of.
Watch your blue.
This will happen again.
Watch your blue, Scott.
So I have to watch the blue, not the red.
Right.
Okay. All right. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, you're going to talk about not all empaths have empathy.
This episode of Know Your Aura is brought to you by Wild Grain. Wild Grain is the first bake from frozen subscription box for artisanal breads, pastries, and pastas. Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable to your tastes and dietary restriction. In addition to their classic variety box, they recently launched a new gluten-free box and a plant-based box that is 100% vegan. Best of all, they take the hassle out of baking, since all items bake from frozen in 25 minutes or less with no mess or cleanup. Scotty.
Yes.
Tell us about your favorite thing ever.
I mean, there's so many things. I don't know the name of everything, but I love I don't know the names. But I love everything. I love the sourdough bread, the sourdough 3 cheese bread, I think it's called.
Oh, that was good. We had the 3 cheese sourdough
I mean, the croissants, any croissant they give, I eat it. Any the fettuccine. Again, I don't know if they have names to these things, but I love it all.
Fettuccine.
Fettuccine.
Their fettuccine is so easy. It comes frozen. You keep it in your freezer frozen. You just boil the water, stick it in. It's done in 5 minutes. And it's like homemade. That's what it tastes like.
Yeah, it's good. Real good.
Yeah. So are you ready to bring all your favorite carbs right to your doorstep?
Yes.
Be sure to check out Wild Grain so you can begin building your own box of artisanal breads, pastas, and pastries. For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/KYA to start your subscription. You heard me. Free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/KYA. That's wildgrain.com/KYA, or you can use promo code KYA at checkout. Not all empaths have empathy. And I'm going to talk about why people with blue auras aren't always empathic individuals the way that you may be. Let's back it up. Let's explain blue. Okay? Let's explain blue. Let's keep it to blue today. Blue auras, the way I see them, are those who feel others' feelings as their own. And they like to help. They like to assist. They like to feel what I always call God's light in someone else. Meaning, when a blue aura helps someone else and they sense that person feels seen and feels validated and feels taken care of, they feel that God's light, that energy, that they just did light working in that moment. And that's why when I see healthy blues who are in good energy states, they're helpers. They're helpers. They're at the front lines. They're handing out blankets. They're giving hugs. They're helping you fill out paperwork. They're walking you to your car. They care. In a world where it's so easy to notice where people don't care, a blue aura takes a minute and is like, I see you and I care and I don't know you and I don't owe it to you, but you're worth it. And when someone does that for you and you feel good about it, and that person who did it, that blue aura, feels that you feel good about it, bam, that's like connection. That's everything for a blue. But here's the deal. Not all blues are like this. which brings me to the point of today's episode. Some people only have empathy for themselves, and I'm going to explain all of this. But let's start here. The second time. We already started somewhere, and now I'm starting again. Just follow me for a second. I feel like in this day and age, number one thing that, I don't know, I feel myself, and I hear other people saying around me is, why don't they care? Like, why don't they see what I see? Why aren't they understanding what I understand? Why don't they notice the suffering? Personally, when I catch an article or see the news or hear a story, it doesn't matter if the people look like me or not. It doesn't matter if I have anything in common with people or not. If somebody's suffering, just my basic empathy attaches to that, and I feel for them, and I care about them, and I want to do things in my life, even if I'll never meet this person, that honors their humanity, with hope that, they do the same, okay? But, not everyone's like that, as you know. I feel like a lot of people that come to this podcast are, and I feel like a lot of us right now are feeling isolated and alone, like, what the heck, man? Why aren't people empathic anymore? They are. We got to band together. We got to talk about this more. So let's talk about it. Some people really only have empathy for themselves, and I'm going to talk about this more in the blue aura way, but let's just use the word empathy for now. All right. So let's think of empath abilities kind of like a circle. All right. So let's say you're a blue aura, and you feel other people's feelings as your own. And a lot of empath energies are like this too: indigos, turquoises, and purples. All right. But some people only have that ability for their own selves. And then the circle gets a little bigger. Maybe it's like, their immediate family. And then the circle gets a little bigger. And maybe it's people that remind them of their life, people who are similar to them. And then their circle gets a little bigger. And now it's people that have, nothing to do with me. But because of the human experience that bonds us all, I still have empathy for you. So it's like circles of empathy. And I will say that your ability to feel energy can affect how far that circle stretches, meaning if you lead with your empath aura, blue, purple, indigo, and turquoise, it's going to be easier to tap into that. And I have to say, though, actions are empathy as well. So you might be somebody who's like, I don't feel like when you say, Mystic Michaela, you feel other people's feelings as your own. I don't feel that, and then I would answer to you, but what are your actions? Because actions are empathy too. For example, what that company is doing isn't correct. I'm boycotting. That's empathy, or I don't like the decisions being made. I'm voting, that's actions are empathy. Like when you're doing something on behalf of other people because you want something done the way you feel it needs to be done. That's, actions are empathy as well, even if you're not connecting to it. So how this all started, how I decided, I'm like, I got to do an episode on this because I just put up a photo. Okay. And this happens to me every once in a while. I just put up a photo on my Instagram stories of a Love is Blind contestant. And, it was, it's a blue to go aura. And I got a lot of DMs. He's not blue. He has no empathy. No empathy there. This does happen sometimes when I put up, celebrities, political figures, whatnot, and I'll do an aura doodle or whatever, and I'll put a little blue on them. That person's not blue. That person has no empathy. Okay. Some people only have empathy for themselves. All right. Not everyone is a good person who has a blue aura. We're going to disconnect that today. So it also happens sometimes when I'll do a reading and you show me a picture of, let's say, like your sister-in-law, and I'm like, oh, she's yellow blue, and then you're just like baffled because she's been giving you the stink eye for 10 years, and you're like, how's she blue? She gives me the stink eye every Christmas. I've never done anything to her. All right, we're going to talk about that. And honestly, there are people out there who have blue auras that have done horrific things. Like I'll see killers, people in prison, people who are like truly despicable have blue auras. And again, having a blue aura doesn't mean you're some sort of great person who always makes the right choices. Some people really do have selective empathy. They have empathy for themselves, and perhaps their small circle if it affects them. Why? How does this happen? Well, let's go back to the blue aura thing. Here's the crux of it. Like, pay attention to this part. When someone has a blue aura, and you're going to understand this from your turquoise point of view, from your purple point of view, and from your indigo point of view too. But let's stick with blue. When someone has a blue aura, they feel others' feelings the same as their own. Like I said, they can sense other needs. They want to fix them. All right, we've established that. But what can happen is they begin to be programmed through their own trauma, through their set of beliefs, which have brought them a lot of, quote, evidence to point out that helping others is actually becoming a victimization to themselves. Let me continue. This will make more sense. Victim blue is a real thing. Blues get burned out. They can start to become overstimulated with the amount of need that their energy is picking up. And then they have this is a blue person thing. When they feel need, they just knee-jerk reaction, I have to solve it. I'm the only solution. And then, again, knee-jerk reaction, very subconscious. They have this agreement. I'm bad if there is still need, but I'm good if there is no need left. But what happens when they believe this without examining it? They start to resent the need at all. Because honestly, as you know, there's always need. There's always somebody needing something from you. So if you're picking all that up all the time, and there's this subconscious agreement that feeling need means that you're not fixing something, there's something wrong with you, your ego's solution is, actually, I'm resenting the feeling of need. So now, when they start to feel a constant need, they get jaded, victimized, annoyed. Fix it yourself becomes the response. And then they start to get judgy. They start to judge. They start to become feeling victimized by their own feelings of empathy. It's your fault I feel this way. Fix yourself. I'm judging you and your life choices and why you're in this mess in the first place. And this can be in their own immediate family. This can be in their circle. This can be in the community. This can be them watching the news. Okay? I don't like what I'm seeing. And instead of feeling that, because that's a helpless, out of control feeling, which is programmed them over time to feel crappy about themselves because they can't fix it. Instead, the way to get back control is, well, that's their fault. Judgment. Not my problem. Fix it yourself. This person said this, therefore it's not on me. I'm doing right things, you're doing wrong things. I'm good. They begin to see their empath abilities as a trigger. So now when they feel someone's need, they get really triggered. And they don't want to feel like they have to do something. So when they feel that way, they can get angry and really kind of grumpy and nasty. Blue auras. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not just picking on blues, but I will say that, like, this is something I see with blues. And even if you're not blue, you'll end up wearing blue, even if you're not. Like, the blue, this, like, inauthentic blue, victim blue aura will start to form on someone, even if it's not theirs. It's like a little get out of jail free energy that they kind of wear. Because maybe it's just the easiest thing to go to, as I said, as some sort of tool for dropping the responsibility they subconsciously feel they need. All right. So when I come back, I am going to continue talking about the reasons why people who are empaths don't always have empathy. Winter can be so harsh on my skin. The artificial air indoors, cold winds, it's just lack of moisture in the air. Your skin can look, at least mine anyways, crepey, unhydrated, just not super healthy. Well, the skin below your neck, it deserves just as much love as the skin on your face. And you can transform your skin with Osea's Undaria Algae Body Butter, leaving it unbelievably smooth and soft. After I shower, I put on a generous layer of Undaria Algae Body Butter, and it smells amazing, and it leaves my skin looking a lot healthier, smooth. I feel hydrated. Also, it is not greasy. I cannot handle greasy creams. This isn't that. It's a body butter. It absorbs right in. And the Undaria Algae Body Butter has an amazing scent. You know, I got real picky ever since I've been using Osea. I can't stand those chemical smells from other lotions, but Undaria Algae Body Butter smells like citrus, grapefruit, lime, cypress, mango, mandarin. It's amazing. I get all sorts of compliments from my kids after I put on my Undaria Algae Body Butter. They tell me, Mommy, you smell so good. And I feel good too. So treat yourself to clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now we have a special discount just for our listeners. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code KYA at OseaMalibu.com. Here is another thing I see when an empath doesn't have empathy. Sometimes people have empathy for oneself, but not others. So if something happens to them, it's horrific. But if the same things happens to another person, well, that's your fault, not, you know. And I see this with groups of people too, like this inability to make connections. Like, let's say you're part of some sort of group that was persecuted, I don't know, in history or in time, or like at work or something, you know. You're part of some group that in some way was persecuted or got the short end of the stick or something. So they're going to find reasons why it's different from somebody else's persecutions to their own, and why their persecutions are more worthy of empathy than another's. So sometimes, like, you want to shake these people. You want to be like, but you come from a people where this happened, or this is what happened to your group at work, and now I'm saying the same thing, and you're just saying it's not the same thing, but it is. And it's because they have empathy for themselves and not another, and they somehow cut the connection, the ability to find common ground. It's a way to protect themselves. And it's really an ego problem, because the ego always wants to like cut you off from other people and isolate you instead of unite. And that how that works out in the collective consciousness is this. Another reason why an empath may not have empathy is sometimes it's, and this is one that's kind of like hard. Sometimes people are just going through something and they just don't have the energy to extend their empathy circle beyond themselves or beyond maybe their immediate family or whatever. Maybe they're working 3 jobs. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe there was some trauma in their life recently. Like maybe something's happening and they just don't have the bandwidth to extend empathy beyond themselves. They're overwhelmed. And that's kind of like, there's some people that live like that their whole lives, though, and those are tougher cases. And there's some people, they're just going through it right now. When you keep people in survival mode, it's hard for them to have empathy that extends beyond themselves. And so that's a whole other scenario. People in survival mode have a harder time with looking at outside things and trying to extend empathy to it. And then honestly, some people are just selfish and they have this blue aura, but it's trapped in a body with like a personality disorder or some sort of psychological issue, which makes them tough people to begin with. And they'll understand the concept of empathy, like enough to talk the talk, but not feel it in the way that others do. They'll get everyone involved in their own perceived narration of victimization in order to allow you to take on their cause. So they're like, I don't have empathy for you, but you can definitely borrow my victimization and I'll have, we'll just have empathy for me together. And that's kind of like the whole flying monkey thing with narcissists and probably a lot of examples. Some people are just selfish. And the aura is just stuck on a body or in a body that has its own chemical things going on. Because, like I say, auras aren't excuses, but they can explain behavior. And blue auras don't mean, like if I say someone's blue or if you say someone's an empath, okay, it doesn't mean they have this great nature. It just means they're operating under the energy of empathy while either extending it in ways that assist others or manipulating it to fulfill their own base needs. Auras in general aren't good or bad. They're just energies which structure motivation, behavior, communication, and approaches to life in general. They aren't inherently good or bad. Your intentions can be labeled as such. Someone's intentions will, that's the thing that the energy wraps around and creates a package around in order to deliver the intention. So if your intention is to be selfish, whatever aura colors you have in there is going to wrap around and deliver that package to the universe. I guess my point is with this episode, blue aura doesn't mean you're a good person, and somebody who does have empath abilities doesn't mean they're a great person either. It just means they feel other people's feelings. What they do with that and the awareness they give it and the work they work on with it, that's up to them. And my other point of this episode was to tell you, I get it. I get it. The more I have given to my own spirituality and my own vulnerability and my own ability to step back and constantly, learn a lesson, reveal this to myself, fix that, find my true intentions, my true motivations, really look at things. I have a way less tolerance for dealing with people who slap on kind of an energy that is self-serving. And I feel like you all get it. You all get it. And when you're around people, because listen, yes, I see colors around people, but all this is stuff that you all feel. So I know when I was going through this today and talking about it, you were like, oh my gosh, that sounds like this person, this person, this person, this person, that person. And you're right, because you already know, these people make you feel a certain way. And these people can, I guess, overall just create a sense of division. And I would say the number one thing about empaths who have broad circles of empathy, meaning they can toss that out to all sorts of walks of life and people and understand that. I feel like what the big thing is it's supposed to connect. It's supposed to make us feel unified. It's supposed to feel like community. It's supposed to feel like validation and being seen and light is what it's supposed to feel like. When somebody masks their empathy as, why did they get this and I didn't? Or why me and not them? Or that's not fair. That doesn't feel like, to me, the way empath energy is supposed to be. So that right there will always tell you, am I dealing with an empath with a type of energy I want to deal with, or is that somebody stuck in their own cycles of programming and I don't want anything to do with that? I feel like that's a big cue, and hopefully one we can differentiate and we can band together and just, give each other that community and that love. And this is just me. I say it all the time, but I'm saying it again. Thank you, Mystic Michaela Spiritual Family, because we do a pretty good job over there, I would say, giving each other that feeling of validation and being seen and love and light. And you'll never, it's a rare thing, and I have gratitude for it every day. And I know a lot of you do too, even if you don't participate on there, you just kind of watch or look or, kind of live through other people vicariously on there who do share. And you're like, wow, I got something from that. You're part of it. So lots of love to you and grateful for our little family. Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela is sponsored by BetterHelp. I have a beautiful support system in my life. I have wonderful friends. And when I have asked them for help, they don't always have the answers, but they do always have a sense of support to give me. In a society that glorifies hyper independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better when we have a support system behind us. Well, therapy can be a source of support in any area of your life. It's time to shift the focus from doing it all to knowing that we're better when we do ask for help and feel supported that way. I have benefited from therapy throughout my life. Sessions I've had years ago have lessons that have influenced me and assisted me in this very day, in my present moment. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. And they have a network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. And you can switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/KYA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/KYA. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys.
So it is overtime.
We're going right into it today.
Right into it.
Okay.
Rules of overtime.
Yep.
You can leave now.
Time to go if you want to. It's on you.
This is on you.
Anything we say
It's on you.
is on you.
It's on you.
You can leave.
It's been established.
We actually prefer if you leave right now.
Go.
Please, leave. Okay.
You might want to, honestly.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if it was me, I would leave.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So here's the deal. This past week in February, we call it the birthday week.
Yeah, the birthday week.
Because it's Abby, Bree, and my father-in-law's birthday all within like 3 days of each other. So we always we call it the birthday week.
Right.
And Bree's turning 16 and Abby's turning 10. And what do they want to do? They want to go to Disney. They don't want to do anything else. They want to go to Disney. We don't live that far away. But if you've been listening a while, you know that Scott's nemesis is Disney.
Yes. And they got me. They wore me down.
They did.
They finally got me. I did say it'll be 6 years before I go into that Magic Kingdom again.
Yeah.
And I held to that.
Yep.
It was 6 years later. Abby was 4 the last time we were at the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
But they did convince me. So let me just run through the cast of characters.
Cast of characters.
All right. So we have myself, the red blue.
Right.
We have Mystic Michaela, the purple indigo. We have Brianna, our oldest daughter, 16, red and purple. We have Abby, our 10-year-old. She is purple and turquoise. We have my parents. My dad is yellow, blue.
Bert.
And my mom, who is red and purple.
Helene.
Okay. So they finally convinced me that we can go back to Disney because Mystic Michaela over here says there's something called, was it After Magic Super Duper Hours?
Right. That's exactly what it's called.
Yeah. And she explains to me that nobody's going to be there.
Yeah.
From 9 o'clock at night to 1 in the morning.
Yeah, like 10 to 1 a.m.
10 to super duper hours.
Yeah.
Nobody goes. It's a special ticket.
Yeah.
Now, my first reaction was this. Now, people who have listened to the podcast for a long time already know what I'm about to say. So they charge people to get the regular ticket, Disney,
right.
Greedy Disney, from 9 a.m. and make them leave the park at 8 p.m.
Something like that.
Whatever. And then there's a whole nother round of people that they put in the park from, let's say, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Right.
All right. So Disney obviously is doubling up here now.
Yeah.
They're greedy.
Disney's greedy,
but
Megan.
You and a couple of your friends who are in cahoots are saying that, no, there's going to be nobody there.
According to everyone on Reddit.
Right.
And people I know, this Disney Magic Super Duper After Hours is walk on for most of the rides. Like you walk on most of the rides. At most you wait like 15, 20 minutes, like at most.
And of course, I say, no way. It's impossible.
You just don't believe it.
Don't believe it. No, I mean, no, I just don't believe it.
So, like, the things that keep Scott away from Magic Kingdom is obviously it's expensive. 2, it's very crowded.
Yep.
3, somebody always cries.
Yep.
That's just inevitable. Right. That's just part of the fun.
Right.
And 4, did I say expensive? Because that's a big one.
Yeah, that could have 2 numbers.
Right.
You could have
okay.
That could be 2 and 4.
So the Magic Super Duper After Hours, they're advertising no lines, and they give you all your free beverages and like ice cream and popcorn.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Coke, water, popcorn, ice cream, all for free.
Okay.
Okay.
So leading up to this, all I hear for like a month leading up to it is like, it's not true. This isn't true. This isn't true. This isn't true.
Correct.
And then you just can't believe it. And then the day of came and the forecast is horrific rain.
Yeah. And let me also back this up. I also have my yellow blue dad.
Oh, right.
And there's we've talked about this before. There's a celebration of birthdays and it has to be done a certain way.
He's yellow.
Yeah. There's got to be a cake. There's got to be 3 names on it. The candles have got to be like vertical by each name.
Yeah.
There's a lot of prerequisites for this event. Now, he's telling me that we got to get a cake from Publix before we go into Disney.
Publix is our grocery store.
And we got to bring it into Disney.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
how are we going to get a cake from Publix, then go through the parking lot, to the tram, to the boat, to the other whatever you have to go through security?
Yeah, with a cake.
This cake is like, large cake.
And he wants a big one.
With candles, everything. Right.
But yeah.
How are we going to do all this?
I said this before. Bert's like a 1992 yellow. Okay. He doesn't understand that, like, once you're in the park, you could order something, or you can get something like delivery dudes can come, or like the yellows of today are like, Bert, come here, let me help you with this app or something. So he's operating on 1992. Like, he's like, I'll bring a cooler and then I'll carry it. It's like, you can't. I was like, we don't want to bring a cake to Disney.
Yeah, you don't understand. His yellow was on me and you. Every single day since we bought the ticket to the day, to that day. And then finally he's like, okay, you were right.
But he wasn't happy about it.
No, he wasn't happy, but and I'm finally like, do you see how hard it would have been to bring cake?
To hold this cake?
And he finally admitted yes. But okay, fine. So red beats yellow there.
Right. So
anyway,
we get there at like 7 p.m.
Yeah, the forecast is
rain
all night.
Right.
And we go and we get the ponchos.
Yes.
So we all had our ponchos. I got a red poncho.
Yours was red.
Yeah, that's how everyone knew where I was.
Yeah.
Follow the red. What was it? Follow the red poncho.
You were the only red poncho. It just kind of worked out that way, too.
I was the only red poncho in the park.
It was weird.
Yeah, everyone else had like a Mickey and Minnie
and
Toy Story, but there I was with the red poncho. But anyway. Now, I wasn't actually upset at this point because this is my theory. My theory is, okay, I bought the tickets. They were insanely expensive, ridiculous, whatever. But what I do is I imagine that money getting just lost. Like it's already been.
This is a tip to help you.
Yeah, this is a tip. I'm a red aura who's been to Disney many times and don't like it, and I'm here to help you. So what I suggest is you forget about it. It's almost like it burned. It just burned away, flew away. I think I said Tinkerbell just came in my pocket and she took it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You told somebody at the gym. They were like, "How was Disney?" You were like, "I left my wallet there."
And they thought I actually oh no, what happened?
Like, no, that's a joke.
It was a joke.
Because it's expensive. Yeah. But I will say this, we all drag you to Disney, but once we get there, nobody knows where they're going, and you have to lead us.
Yeah, well, I know the park like the back of my hand, so I know where everything is. But that's my theory, and that really helped me. Because I did that over the summer when you guys dragged me to the water park, and I thought that was going to be a horrible time. And I'm just like, okay. And it was going to rain that day too. So I'm like, all right, I already paid the money. And it's gone.
Okay, so that's your tip.
That's my tip. So I wasn't even in a bad mood.
So anyways, we get there.
Yeah.
And it's drizzling at this point, and Scott's leading us. You're not allowed to look at anything. Scott's just like, come on. And he takes us from ride to ride to ride, and it's walk on and all the rides. Yes. And at some point I look at Scott and he's smiling, and I'm like, see? And he's like, you know what? This is the only way to do Disney. This is it.
It was a Disney miracle.
Right. Nothing else is open, by the way. There's no character experiences or stores or anything like
Which
that.
Which is okay by me. Less to buy.
All that. But then at one point we're in Frontierland and it just starts pouring. And Scott, everyone. Now, if you know Scott, he has some sort of foot sensory issue. That's a lot of TMI. It's overtime. We warned you.
What is this foot sensory issue.
Because you're like, my feet are wet. It's like everyone's feet were wet. But
my socks were soaked.
For you, it's like, I don't know what your feet must feel like different to mine. Because like my feet were wet too. Like everyone's feet were wet. And yours are like, my feet are wet. I can't. Now, we only have, okay, now, by the way, at Disney, and I will be the first to admit this, I get a little bit like 8 years old.
You do.
And I'm the type like where, like an 8-year-old, I'm like, I don't want to eat. I don't want to stop. I want to go on the rides.
I know.
Like, let's freaking go, you know? And I turn into that.
You got mad at me. I stopped. So we had it was like 9:30 at night.
No,
we had
all
a fuel
this guy is hungry. All this person is Mr. doesn't want to spend money.
We had a fuel
is constantly like, where's a pretzel? I want a Wetzel's pretzel. And then you're eating like, I don't know, you're like, come on. And then I'm like, oh, we must be going to another ride. No, we were going to like one of the
Starlight Cafe.
We were going to the only open cafe.
The only open cafe.
And like, no offense, but the chicken fingers at Disney are nasty.
I'm going to tell you.
You ordered like so many and we have to sit there. I'm like, God, could be on Tron right now.
I'm going to tell you something. That was the most wonderful eating experience I've ever had at Disney.
It wasted time because you only have a certain amount of hours in the park where like this is like magical, like where there's walk on and you're making me eat.
But this was the first time that I was able to order and then sit down and not have to clear junk from the last person off the table.
Well, you paid a lot of money to pay a lot of money for some chicken fingers.
That's right.
And then
that was okay though. I was okay with that.
And then your mom is funny.
Yeah.
Because the whole time she has this idea in her head that there's a Lion King ride at Magic Kingdom. And she just couldn't let it go.
Yeah, she wanted to go on the Lion King
She's like,
ride.
wait, it's a lion. Scott's
we have the same
mom's voice has the same voice as Scott. Wait, it's the Lion King ride. Where is it? I'm like, I'm on top of Magic Kingdom. You okay? I'm like, oh, Helene, there's no Lion King ride. Yes, there is. I'm like, there really isn't. Yes, there is. I'm like, there really isn't. So there's like that going on.
Well, okay. So back to the socks.
Yeah.
So
the socks.
So here it is.
Yeah,
like,
see, he's got a foot thing.
No, I'm just saying.
He wants to talk about it.
Like it is pouring rain. I am wet, but I have the red poncho. But I'm saying, like, I literally, Space Mountain was on, like, walked the whole thing, went to the front of the line, did not wait for one other cart to go except for our cart, and I just kept on thinking. I remember times where I sat in this line for an hour and 30 minutes. And I remember like just walking, like, back, forth, all through that loop.
Yeah.
And it was like incredible.
Yes.
And like, there wasn't really that many people there. There were times I was walking down the street alone.
I know.
Pretty much. So the only thing that I had was the wet socks.
Yeah.
But I was very smart and I brought another pair of socks. So I changed out of those wet socks.
Okay, well, at any point, what really happens is Scott's sitting in some corner of Disney, for example,
but there was no one around me.
The back exit of Philanthropic Magic, which all the doors open up and a gazillion people come out, and Scott's there with his dogs out, his bare feet just out, and he's like, they're wet, and putting on because you brought extra socks.
I did.
And then you put them in your pocket to dry out.
Right.
Like first you kept like, Megan, you're like wiggling them at me. I'm like, what do you want me to do, Scott? Like, I'm not putting these on a clothespin.
I wanted to show you how wet they were.
And everyone, like at any point you're like, feel my socks to people. And we're like, no.
You don't believe me that they were wet.
I had to shut you down. I'm like, nobody wants to feel your socks. Like everyone's socks are wet.
All right, well, whatever. So I got the new dry socks on, so things were great again.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was pouring, so those socks were wet really fast.
Yes.
Now, I thought in my head, I was like, I should get 10 pairs of socks. Like in the morning, I was going to go to Target and get 10 pairs of socks.
You knew.
So I knew that. But anyway, now, this is what happened. I was at Disney. You guys all went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I had the 2 pairs of socks. They were now both drenched. And I was out of socks. I went into the Winnie the Pooh store.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw a pair of socks. Do you want me to tell you how much they were? I don't even think I told you guys how much they were.
How much were they?
$19.99 for one pair of socks. I've never spent $20 on a pair of socks.
It's possible because I was just at Disney. That doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah. So it was $20 for one. If you bought 2, they gave you like a little like $4 off a pair. So like it was 2 for like $36 or something.
Oh my God.
So, or maybe that'd be $2 a pair.
Disney's like so crazy.
Yeah. So I go up to there, get these Winnie the Pooh socks. The lady says, do you want me to like bag it for you? I'm like, no. Then she's like, do you want to wear them now? I'm like, yes. So she gets them all set ready for me. I put them on.
Yeah.
I don't tell anyone except for Abby. Me and Abby are the only ones that know. And then I say, we're going to go on the Winnie the Pooh ride. Because now I'm like feeling great again. Because my feet are dry. These are thick socks too. Actually, I'm going to say something. It wasn't bad.
They look, yeah.
I wasn't going to do it. Like I actually walked out of the store. I'm like, I'm not paying $20 for these socks. But then I walked back in. And I'm like, I'm paying $20 for these socks. So we go on the Winnie the Pooh ride. The middle of the ride, I put my legs in the air. And you guys all freak out because I had the socks on.
You just amuse yourself.
Yeah.
You just amuse yourself.
I will. Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
Because I'm going to say.
Keep going.
This was the first time. So Bree got like a Coke or Diet Coke. I don't know what she has, Sprite, whatever. I got water. And I did not finish the water. And I threw it out. Do you understand that? Bree got the Coke or whatever, Sprite, did not finish it. And she said, Dad, what should I do with this?
Right.
Because normally I'm like, you drink every drop of that. That was $8.
At least.
You better drink that. Like if you throw that out, you're throwing out $4. So I'm like, Bree, you could throw that out and get another one. And that was like a
food waste.
Yes, food waste.
Wow.
But a very happy moment for me. And I actually threw the water out and then
that's like awful.
5 minutes
to brag.
Later,
like you're
5 minutes later, I got another water. And I didn't finish that one either.
You're like part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's good we don't take you off to these places.
So, yeah, it was really good. So I don't know. But anyway, now so it's getting towards the end of the night. We've been on every single ride.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get it to one ride, the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train or something.
So the number one ride I wanted to go on.
You've been talking about this nonstop. Yeah. Like my dad's been talking about the cake. You were talking about this ride.
Yeah. The number one ride I wanted to go on was the Seven Dwarfs ride.
Right.
Because again, I get like 8 years old in the park and I can't help it. And I'll freely admit it. And I know.
You do.
And I get whiny about it. And it was like walk right on.
Yeah.
And we get right up. And actually we were sitting in the seats.
To go. Yeah, we're in the seats. My stomach was hurting because they put the belt on really hard.
Yeah.
And then they just like, what did they say? Like that announcement comes on.
And then they're like, the ride shut down, so we all had to leave. And I was like, man, because I really wanted to go on this ride. Like my 8-year-old dreams were just like popped. And I'm like, whatever, I'll get over it. I'm in Disney, right? So I just rallied. We went on all these other rides. And it's, so the park closes at 1 a.m., right? And it's like 12:56. And the ride was down this whole time. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see a gathering of a Disney adult crew. And they were getting excited. And I heard the rumblings of them saying the Seven Dwarfs ride. And I'm like, oh my God. And I look quickly on my Wait app and it's open. And I'm like, Scott, because I have zero freaking idea where I am at any time in this park.
Yeah.
I'm like, Scott, get me left, right. Where is it? We can do it.
Yes. And then all of a sudden the music, I don't know if anyone remembers this from Chariots of Fire, starts playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, we could do this.
Yeah.
Now we're all spread out because my parents move a little slower.
They're like 80.
They're 80s. They're in their 80s.
They did so good.
And I'm like, all right, we start going for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Bree, go back, tell them just to sit on a bench and I'll pick them up at the end of this ride.
We're dropping the dead weight.
Bree runs back to tell them.
Right.
They ignore the directive.
Completely ignore her.
They ignore it. They keep going.
They're like, we're going to do it too.
They're good. Yeah. So we make it. I figured like they were never going to make it.
Yeah.
But we got on there.
No, we ran.
Oh,
Abby and I ran.
Bree ran to them all the way back. And then she ran all the way to us.
You guys, I'm not athletic.
Yeah.
And I booked it all the way there. Like I wasn't even winded. I was just like exhilarated. I'm telling you, I turned into a child at this place.
Right. So we made it there. We got off the ride. I'm like, all right, Bree, where did you tell them? We got to go find them. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're at the spot we told what I told you to leave them.
Ride was amazing.
And all of a sudden they start walking towards us. I'm like, where'd you guys come from? They're like, we got it on the ride. I'm
like, you guys did too?
I'm like, what?
Like I literally ran there.
But they made it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. It was great. It was magical.
And that's how it ended. It was awesome.
Yeah. And yeah.
That's Disney.
That's the way you got. Yeah.
That is.
If you're going to do Disney.
Lessons are.
That's the only way to do it.
Super duper magic hours. And like you don't get kind of like the quintessential Magic Kingdom experience. Yeah. There's no like Dole Whip. There's no like Mickey in the whatever the plaza part.
Yeah.
You know.
But you go, like, if you want to go on Pirates of the Caribbean 3 times, you go 3 times, there's nobody on the ride.
Yeah.
Because, some days when I'm really down, and I never told you this, or maybe I did tell you this, I'll go on the Disney app and I'll look. And I'll look at the Peter Pan ride and I'll see 70-minute wait. And I'll feel better about myself.
Right.
Because I know that there's people waiting in that line for 70 minutes.
This is what we found out about you today. In a review of the episode entitled Not All Empaths Have Empathy.
Right.
1,
Fits.
You make fun of people's art at festivals.
Okay.
2, you get stuff at Disney just so you can throw it out and get more stuff later.
When it's free.
3, when you're sad, you go on the Disney app to see how long people are waiting in a line so you can feel better about yourself.
That sums it up.
And he has a blue aura, so there you go.
There you go.
All right. This podcast is for you and about you, and we're so glad you spent some time with us today. Hello, podcast fans. If you're looking for a new podcast, if you enjoy articles, books, pop culture, and hilarity, try listening to the Brain Candy Podcast.
That's right. The Brain Candy Podcast has over 500 episodes of educational hilarity to satiate your learning needs. Just search for the Brain Candy Podcast on your podcast app or click the link in the show notes.